everyone, and welcome to Inner Secrets Revealed, Kabbalah class with Dr. Gil Tivon. As always, I'm your host, Mike Ray. Welcome back, everybody, and thanks to everyone who's just joining us for the first time, whether you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Riverside, or on our new app, which will be up and running within the next few months, or whether you're catching us later on and you're listening to or watching this replay from this podcast. Thank you for joining us. Just a quick reminder of the outline for this class. First, we will be having the lecture portion of the podcast by Dr. Gil Tivon, and then we will be opening things up to discussion and take questions during the interactive portion of the class. If you could please be so kind as to keep yourselves on mute until the interactive portion, we greatly appreciate that, so we can keep an organized environment for teaching and learning from one another, and so everyone has a chance to be heard. Thank you in advance. Let's see if we have any announcements this weekend. There are going to be new weekly Monday classes starting, which I have announced in previous episodes, with topics ranging from any and all things you could think of that are important to the realm of metaphysics, including meditation practices, holistic medicine, natural cures, even to things like relationship skills, interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, coping skills. Just give us some feedback and tell us what you guys want to learn more about. Also, quick announcement: Dr. Gil Tivon has a new book that has just come out and been published, which will be translated into English shortly, and it does cover a lot of what is spoken about during these podclasses. So far in these series of episodes, we've been discussing the Tree of Life, and we will go over again what we've learned so far about the Tree of Life as we begin to dive deeper into its sacred mystical structure and meaning. This episode will be connecting and balancing the 5 elements and our 5 spiritual senses. Please, again, try to remember to keep yourselves muted until the lecture portion of the class, and hold your questions and comments, or write them down in the chat, and if you would like, we will do our best during the interactive portion to address them. Okay, now, without further ado, everybody, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Gil Tivon. Dr. Gil, everybody.
Faces of friends as well as some new faces. I'm very, very happy for you being here, and later on, all those that will listen and will see the recording, which has really became international, which I'm very happy, and we thank our host very much, Michael Ray, my dear friend, for doing such an incredible job. Thank you so much. And I think he did forget to tell us that it's going to be also televised, or rather through TV, which I think you call Mystical Science TV, correct, Mike? Something along those lines. And
yes. Metaphysical Sciences TV. You can find the channel on YouTube.
Right, so that would be wonderful also. So the topic today is not off topic, and I made sure that many of the topics that are covered in that book, which are currently in the Hebrew but will be translated, please God, in the future to English, are not, and there are innovations that come out of these lectures. And I must tell you off the record that most of the day today I spent preparing for this lecture, because it is a very important topic. So, and of course, later on you're going to participate. You are definitely the participants of a chapter of a certain book that will come out of it at the end as well. And this is actually the 5 elements. But we'll see, according to the time that we have, that we're going to discuss 2 kinds of 5 elements. What am I talking about? So we're going to discuss, with allowance of time, first the 5 elements that we know about. Yes, not 4, but 5. And second, and not less important, the 5 spiritual elements that we should use and become familiarized with, because it is within our perception and our grasp to get them. So let's start slowly. So if Mike would be so kind to share, the Tree of Life as we know it is in 2D. 2D means as we look at it, we see 10 Sefirot. And Sefirah, we said, is another word for a prism through which God gives all kind of his enlightenment and illuminations to us. And since we are human beings and cannot hold so much light, he does it through prisms that we can hold, that we can have a vessel, a lens through which I can see it in different ways. This is not human-made. It's not a system which is human-made, and we think that this is the way it is. By definition, this is Kabbalah. We know that the world works this way. Received it through prophecy over 5,000 years ago, and it's been handed down, ancient wisdom through the ages. We checked it out, and everything works this way. The 7 chakras are only a reduction of that, but as we discussed in previous lectures, we have a right side, which is compassionate, kind side, the masculine side, the left side, which is more feminine, it's judgmental, in which I have to receive in order to give to others. And the middle pillar that we're going to discuss also today extensively is that pillar where we balance our lives and we come to some kind of an equilibrium with ourselves all the way from the crown sphere all the way down to Malchut, which is equivalent to the root chakra. So first of all, where do we find these 5 elements? Well, stages of ancient times, where it comes from Greek philosophy and much 3,000 years before in Kabbalah, we understand that the world works and everything hovers around the 5 elements. If we look, and Mike, if you can find one of those pictures that you might have, if we look from the top on the tree of life in 3D, in other words, it's got 4 pillars around it, and the middle pillar, it's not 2Ds anymore, it's a whole structure, a living structure of 4Ds, 4 pillars, 2 in front, 2 at the back, and 1 middle pillar. We will realize that the middle pillar that we're discussing today is that pillar which starts at the crown, going all the way to Malchut, to kingdom, which is like the root chakra, but surrounding the 4 pillars are facing the 4 elements, which are, as all of us know, fire, air, water, and earth. However, I mentioned that there are 5 elements. What is the 5th element? The 5th element is the element of the ether. And colloquially, we will call it the ether, the gas, but we're going to see that it reaches much further than just gas as a 5th element. So let's discuss it. I'm going to go from the outside world, from our surroundings, and see how it affects our lives. This is not a theoretical kind of a session or lecture or class. This is practical, meaning I'm going to bring it down into your lives, make it very practical, that you can use it in the everyday. The point of it is we need to balance our lives. If we don't live a balanced life, a healthy lifestyle, using all the 4 elements in equilibrium, in balance, something is going to go haywire, especially our immune system, digestive system, our way of thinking, our lifestyle, different kind of habits are going to very much be out of balance. So we need all those 4 elements around us and the 5th spiritual one as well. And if we have time today, if not next time, we'll discuss also, the 5 spiritual senses that we should be familiar with. Most of you did not hear about it, which is fine. So what are those 4 basic elements? Let's start from the surrounding physical world and let's zoom in into the emotional, mental, and spiritual world within us, that we must all have them balanced. This is the most basic thing that we should know when we come into the tree of life, and I'm showing you, it's part of the tree of life. It's the 4 pillars that surrounding it when we look in 3D from the top. So the first one, of course, is fire. Like we start with the first zodiac sign, which is fire. What does sun give us? So this is not an exclusive list. I'm showing you a few examples. If you've got other examples, I'm sure they are correct. And take into consideration the fact that I've been playing around with this for many, many years, not only one reincarnation. So whatever you have in mind, I also have in mind, and I welcome you to write it into the chat, anything that you want to add when it comes to the physical elements of the 4 elements, whether you know it from astrology, whether you know it from science or from biology or anywhere else. Fire gives us the heat, the warmth of the sun, its nutrients, and this is very, very obvious. Actually, it's the life force that we get. Without the sun, there is no life, seemingly. That's why till today we have many, many cultures in the Eastern tradition that till today they worship the sun, because the sun people saw in the elder world, in the ancient world, as the source of life. However, when we translate that warmth into our lives, that of course gives us an inkling into the world of love and inner passion that we have for things. Sometimes we would call it the joie de vivre, the joy of life. Sometimes a person can be very young and very tired and exhausted of life and lack of energy. And sometimes you see an elderly people and they're full of the zest of life. That is the element of fun. I'm just giving you headlines to get you warmed up into the subject. Second element is the element of water. I'm not going according to the order. Yes, I do teach and practice astrology for many years. So I'm just giving you examples not according to the right order. Water. Our bodies are made of over 60% of water, and our brains and hearts over 70% of water. And what do we use water for? We use it for cleansing, body, and hydration. In addition, the body also excretes more toxins out through the body. And how do we translate it into our lives? Emotions. Everything I mentioned in passing, which is the emotional, mental, and spiritual world, I'm going to zoom in and open up for you as we go along, as time allows us to. Again, this lecture is about 50 minutes, 50. Then there's time for your questions. You can write into the chat. More than welcome to answer your questions, and whatever you won't have enough time for, you can always welcome to send it either to myself or to Mike through email, which I will give you at the end. Air. The element of air allows us to breathe, and we can't survive more than a few short minutes without this basic need. See and observe that both the elements of water are transparent and are tasteless, odorless, colorless. Yes, we develop a beautiful sense of freshness and taste for water, but in principle, if you compare it to Gatorade or anything else, it is tasteless, odorless, colorless. Air, we can't even see it, and yet we need it so badly, we can't survive without it. Very interesting observation. And this is the stuff of life. And this is assisting not only for us, as it's called in ancient Indian Purana, or in the ancient Hebrews called in Kabbalah, Neshima, which means a breath of God. A breath of God. The word Neshima in Hebrew means the breath of God was breathed into us, but also it's assisting us to cleanse our body of all kinds of toxins. How do we translate it into our everyday life, except from this basic need, which we seemingly take for granted? And that is very positive communication, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, many practices that we do to input that air. The need to sleep during the night for so many hours, part of it is to inhale into us these fresh, beautiful packages of air, or prana, which is the force of life, and to exhale through the air all the toxins from our blood and from our body. Very good. The next one, last but not least of the four, is the element of earth, which gives its nutrients and minerals to the body. What do we do with earth? We walk on it. We dwell in homes of concrete, which is a product of earth. We consume its nutrients, we consume its energy, as well as what does it symbolize to us? Where do we find it in our life? Stability. Stability and a framework. I wouldn't like to go to sleep like homeless people that I have lots of compassion and mercy for in a tent during this terrible, windy, cold winter. And I'm sure if it's Arizona, it's like this. I don't want to even think how it's like in Michigan and other very cold states towards the north, Chicago, etc. So it gives us stability. It gives us a framework for our lives. Home, the need, the sense, the emotional sense of a home, a sense of belonging, where we can have stability, security, health, career, lifestyle. We all want to rely on this element of earth. So you must know that if we look just at these four, which is water, air, earth, and fire, 99% of the time, we rely on Earth. Most of us, 85% of the world plus, is running after the survival mode because life is very tough. There's so many expenses, so many bills. When it comes to health in America, it really is exorbitant compared to Europe and other states. So people really run around the tail day and night, both wife and husband and others, just to make sure to make ends do. And as children grow up to universities, we know the cost in the States for that. It's a never endless, it's a pit which doesn't have a bottom to it. So we run around the earth. We all need stability. We all need a sense of belonging. So 99% we exert into this, but this is not good because the minute that we exert 99% into this, our immune system goes all the way down because we need the water, we need the air, we need the fire. Without fire, we don't have motivation. Without water, we don't have emotion. Without air, we don't have communication. And remember, our body is made of 60% plus of water, brain and heart, 70 plus % of water. So we definitely need it. And so if you do watch this beautiful research of Dr. Imoto Amataro from Japan, very, very famous, the minute, since we do have a sort of an emotional, very emotional being, when I say I mean, what do I feel? I feel this way. The minute that we exhaust our emotional capacity, or we don't go and fuel this and it's drained, all of our being, stress, anxiety, fear, anger, addictions, they all drip into the system. However, in the ancient world and today in quantum physics and Kabbalah, when we combine this, we know that there are 5 elements. The 5th element is the ether. Ether means actually the gas, the colorless gas. But how does quantum physics and Kabbalah and mysticism and alchemy walk into this? And the point is, and this is an incredible kind of innovation that science found at last, yes, we need it. We need it because this is the 0-point field. This is the point where a human being can reach, grasp, and connect to the divine. Can reach, grasp, and connect to the endless possibilities which is surrounding all of us, that endless energy field that is right out there. And we do it through meditation, we do it through Qigong, we do it through Tai Chi, we do it through yoga, we do it through prayer, we do it through stillness, or being a little bit with ourselves, even with the crowd, but with ourselves, and finding ourselves with that element called ether. And we're going to go into this with time as time allows in a minute. Now, so these are 5 elements. Recently, however, science has found something amazing, shocking. What we know today in the world is called visible matter, but there's dark matter and dark energy. Why do I mention it here? Because science has found that what you were taught in schools, all your schooling, including mine, all of that matter that is visible is only 4.9, less than 5% of all the reality. We thought this is it. You look at your wife, you look at your husband, look at your children, this is it. No, it really isn't. It's less than 5% of the real reality. 96% is dark matter, dark energy, and that is right there in the universe for us. And we can access it only when we go to the 5th element, which is the ether, as we go into discover. So that's why it's so very important. Now, there's cycles in nature that we know. Right now we're going through winter, there's autumn, there's spring, there's summer, and these seasons go through the 4 elements as well. Now, I'm going to start now working with you on how we can use the 4 elements in our lives in a very mystical, alchemical, and even Kabbalistic way, whichever way suits you, whatever you connect to. So in our journey in life, there are cycles and processes. It's a journey. It's not to fix it. The first step in life, when we start to observe things and go through the 4 elements, is called decomposition. What element is being used in the composition? Fire. You want to take a piece of wood and you want to make for it a fire or a fireplace, you break it down. It also happens in nature. Coal and other elements break down, they decompose naturally. Animals that perish, they decompose naturally. The body decomposes naturally. So breaking down is the element of fire, and it is very important for us to break down things in our life. Not break down means to crash and to destroy. Breaking down means understanding, observing the elements, the details of what it is made from, what has been told to us. We know God is in the details, so look at the details. It helps us to take off impurities, to cast away all kind of shells, as we call it Kabbalistically, around us. Right. So the first stage we should use with the 4 elements is breaking down, decomposing all kind of things that linger on, a terrible past, all kind of bad memories, all kind of negative habits, addictions, etc. It's all to do with the timeline of the past. The second situation, after second stage, once we've been through this, is purification. Which element purifies? Come on, this is very, very easy. Water. We all love to swim in the sea. We all love to go on the waters of a fresh fall. We all have to go into a beautiful lake. And so through purification, we raise our vibration, we become anew. In Kabbalah, there's a certain ritual where a lady, after the menstrual cycle, every month goes and renews herself in a collection of water, like the sea. In Christianity, there's baptism, but it's once in a lifetime. But we seemingly seem to know ourselves, the purification. I'm not talking about hygiene. I'm talking about emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical purification that people go through. And this is definitely the element of water. So the first one was breaking down, decomposing. This is the element of fire. Second one is purification through the element of water. And we need all of it. We need all of it. The third one is transmutation, or enlightening, or illumination of oneself. When I want to illuminate myself, I have to expand my horizons. I have to open up my ability to learn more, to allow this knowledge to become part of me, to open my left brain, my mind, my limited consciousness to new things. And this is usually done through elements of air, because I need to open new horizons. Like water expands and other elements shrink, I need to be able to open myself to new innovations. And for this, I need to be humble and open, flexible mind. The last but not least step is the fourth step, which is the ultimate completion of the great work. When I have a framework, when I hold all this together, when I have a vessel that holds all of it. What do we make a vessel to hold all of this? The element of earth. Then, completing all the work that I was sent to this earth to do. That for today, you have completed one singular step. This month, this year, you know that you feel very accomplished, very satisfied with yourself. You tap on your shoulder and say, I've done something very positive for myself, for my family, for society, for my clients, for my students, whoever it is. You feel a great deal of accomplishment because you tap into this beautiful energy of the element of earth. So to summarize, the first stage was breaking down decomposition element of fire. Second stage was purification, raising your vibration, element of water. Third level was transmutation, opening up, enlightening yourself with new things like we're doing right now together, element of air. And the fourth one, creating a vessel to hold all of this together. And this is definitely the element of earth, that you make a vessel to hold all that bounty, all that blessing, all that peace, that you make with all the pieces of your life at every stage of the way. Every day, at the end of the day, you should do some kind of a prayer, some kind of a observation, completion of that day. What did I learn today? What lessons did I learn? Hard ones, easy ones. What challenges did I have? How can I grow? How can I better myself? There'll be a better version of myself the next day. Every day, take time out for yourself. It can be even before you go to sleep. Meditate with yourself on this and then at the end of the week, summarize the week. And it's got very deep sources in Kabbalah. What are these sources? In Kabbalah, very interesting, the word, let me see if I can write it down for you into the chat, and Mike is going to put it up. Let me see, where is our chat? There we go. The word for day, for a day in the Hebrew, is the word hayom, which means today. Now, hayom is the same. This is not my idea. I didn't invent the word, but this comes after many, many thousands of years that we have received, and this is the way it works. Hayom is the same geometrical value as me. I am in the Hebrew, which is ani, which is one of the 72 holy names of God, which we're going to learn later on. So when you define yourself today, how do I want to see myself today? Can I look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day? What did I accomplish today? Yes, it's one little step, but something there has changed. God has given you opportunity. How did I accomplish and walk towards this opportunity? The next level is the week, which is called in the Hebrew Shavua. Shavua comes from the word Sheva, which means 7. In other words, Shavua means to satiate oneself. I've gone through a complete cycle of 7 days. What did I accomplish this week? It doesn't have to be that I accomplished, I made $1 million. No. What did I accomplish as a human being on my values, in my way of thinking, with my family, in my way that I can control myself, that I can navigate my thoughts? Did I become more polite, more of a person that has more emotional intelligence? This is of great importance. When somebody dies, we have a custom to sit on him 7 days, because the time that we can make some kind of an inclusion in ourselves. Hold on. There's a person here that we shared our lives with for many years, a parent, somebody of importance that we love, that we had connection with, the family ties, or a great spiritual mentor that we had. Let's sit on it. Let's observe what happened before we rush on further on ilah. It's a time of grieving, and it's a time that we need to digest and become full of that experience before we rush on with the marathon of life. The last but not least is the concept of a month, which in the Hebrew is chodesh, which comes from the word chadash. There's a renewal. Every month when we go through the cycle, something must be different than the previous months. With a woman is very much connected to the monthly cycle through of the moon. All ladies are connected to this up to a certain age, and a woman is biologically, chemically connected to this, and she feels much more that kind of cycle. Women are less connected, but if we go outside and we observe the sky and we are connected to nature, we will definitely feel that every month there is a renewal, not previous month of December as this month. Every month should have some kind of renewal in you. By the way, this is one of the secret reasons in Kabbalah that ladies every month always have much more than men. You look at the wardrobe of ladies, much more than men. So the husband asks, how much money you want to spend on clothes? The answer is she needs it. It's part of a need to renew herself and to cleanse and purify herself after the monthly cycle. This is a very important step, and this is very important for any kind of a partner to facilitate and to support and to empower his wife or his feminine partner to do so, because it's important for her own inner psyche. And last but not least is the cycle of the year, which is called Shana. Shana means, and that comes from the book of creation, means this is one cycle of 1 year. It comes from 2 words. One is Shinui, which means there's a repetition, a repetitive cycle here. And the other one is from Shinui. There's an incredible growth. If you look, the whole tree of life Kabbalistically it's not unidimensional. It's multidimensional, and it works like a spiral from bottom to top, from left to right, or from top to bottom, from right to left. There's a spiral motion in our lives. If you tell me, my prayer, my actions, my career, my lifestyle, my marriage, everything that I do is exactly the same as 20 years ago, as last year, as 2022, that's not good. Something there must be in an incremental change, stepping forward Beat yourself. Thank you, Mike. And this is of great, this is the picture I was looking for, Mike. Thank you. With the looking at the tree of life from the top with that middle pillar in the middle, which is related to our spirit, and the 4 elements around rotating around this inner spiral, the central spiral of that spirit, great spirit that we have, and we connected with the higher spirit of the divine with it. Okay. I know it's a lot, but it's fascinating. So why not? So you'll have time to relax for a whole week. The next step, which is very important, is that once we understand how the tree of life looks from the top, as we just saw now, let's try to understand something. When we're talking about the divine spark that we all share, some souls live their own private life, individualistic, but each person is unique. Some people are followers, some people are leaders. Some people are very passive, some people are very proactive. The tree of life teaches us, requires of us, challenges us to become a little bit more leaders, at least in our own lives, in our family. A little bit more proactive. Do not wait for things to be. Opportunities come every day, sometimes every week, every month. Rise to the occasion. Do something with that opportunity, with that incredible intellect, incredible talent that you have, whether it's drawing or arts or the sciences, whatever it is that God has given you as a gift, make something out of it. This is a divine spark that you're given, and it's in every atom of yours, and that's in the middle pillar. From your crown, God is sparking it up, very much like in a car. Beside the spark, your car won't ignite in the morning. There's a divine spark that God is carrying on in a consistent, compassionate way, giving you, and it's unique. Nobody in this world can do what you can do. Nobody will be that unique. Nobody will be that special. Nobody can fulfill your role. So somebody else will do it. No, nobody else can do it. Because everyone thinks differently. Everyone's got a different perspective of life. Because we are very different. Yes, we all have hands and mind and legs. Yeah, that's very superficial. From the divine spark and how we observe and perceive the world, we are very different than each other. And it's very good because collectively we create a beautiful, harmonious, loving picture. But I can't do your work and you can't do mine. And therefore I love you and I appreciate very much what you do, because I don't need to compete with you. Because what you can do, I can never do. Just do. Go and do as much as you can, calmly and slowly, every day, go into this. Next level. Now we're going to go into the emotional, mental, and spiritual levels that we were waiting for. So we mentioned at the beginning that the 4 elements should be balanced within us. And we need to also balance the polarities, the tension within us. Let's say, for example, that you're very much drawn towards a career which is very practical. You're a policeman, or you are a soldier in the army, whatever it is, and or you're a lawyer, and it is to follow the law. Very good. Now, that implies that there's less place in your life for the other elements, or the other side of the story. Let's say that your name is Van Gogh or Rembrandt, and you're very artistic, and you float in the world of water in creativity the whole day, but you lack a little bit of the element of earth. So there is a tension and polarity between what you are good at and what is your forte that God has gifted you with, and you being balanced. And for example, Mozart died at 33 because he was incredibly talented. There's no way that a child like this was a prodigy at such a young age and brought it, definitely from different reincarnation he brought it. But he was incredibly sickly all his life, very, very poor, no element of earth at all in his life. He couldn't care about it. He neglected his health. He was very poor. He died at 33, which is very young. He could have enjoyed his talent for many more years because he wasn't that balanced and he didn't pay attention much to this, and he wasn't part of this lecture. So I wasn't part of his lecture either. I wish I was like Rembrandt or Van Gogh or Mozart or anyone. So he had an incredible talent. He left a mark from his generation, maybe the only one. even though he lived a very short life. So we must take to heart when we see or we hear about people that passed away from addictions or anything like that, we must take to heart life is the most important gift you get. Try to balance yourself with the 4 elements. How do we do it? For example, fire. Fire gives you, first of all, this creative spark, that passion for life. It helps us with new ideas. It increases your vibration. It heightens your consciousness. It helps us innovate, create breakthroughs, become leaders of our own lives. It catalyzes transformation. So fire is a very important element to have. You need to speak for 1 minute to a person, to see the body language, to understand whether they have any fire in life, in them, any passion, any motivation, any spark of life, joie de vivre, the joy of life, or not. And it has nothing to do with age. Put some fire into your life. Fire does not mean aggression. Fire means assertiveness, passion for life. Do something special. Yes, you have to work the whole day. We all do. 8, 9, 10 hours. Leave half an hour, 1 hour a day where you can do your own things, where you can grow and you can, this 1 hour gives me passion. Whatever it is that you like, whether it's running, going to gym, or creating any kind of drawing, or anything else that you love, or learning online. Number 2, air. Air is all about our thoughts and our minds. It brings clarity. It brings expansion to our lives. It supports our progress. It helps our brain to do brainstorming. Now let's brainstorm. It inspires us, right? And allows our mind to grasp new concepts. Many people love traveling overseas, love going out of home. This is very important that you should travel. You should see new cultures, new religions, new customs, new foods, new clothes. What did you gain when you were overseas in Bulgaria or in Romania, wherever it is, or in Russia, or it is at Hawaii? This is it. You expand your horizons. You learn new communication skills. This is the greatest gift of any human being, is the gift of communication. I wasn't given the ability to speak to myself. I was given it to communicate with you and the other way around. So learn how to do it. Emotional intelligence, this is of great importance. How to communicate properly with people. If you have somebody like Warren Buffett, who is a real genius, he's taught many years in MIT, right? And he's a multi-billionaire, as we all know. So people asked him what, and he invested so much time into himself, growing and learning all the time. Today he's about 90 already, 91. He said the best course I ever took was in communication, because it shaped and changed everything I do. It's Warren Buffett. Third element, water. Water can stay emotions. Water can stay your emotions. And it relates to intuition and to you purification. So emotions are of great importance. Do not listen to people that tell you that emotions are, that's for kids, and you too much, you're pathetic because you're so emotional. No. Emotions are of great importance. Otherwise, you are a robot. But they must be in the right place. It must be under supervision of our intellect, that we don't overburden others and we're just about emotions. But through emotions, we can create. Through emotions, we have this spark of intuition. Through emotions, we can purify ourselves. Through emotions, we can feel. I had a couple overseas that got married, and the wife told me that when the husband is a soldier for many years, after 20 years of going out together and dating, he picked up the phone one day and he said to her, "Do you remember that we spoke about marriage?" She says, "Yes." He says, "Well, the answer is affirmative." She says, "Excuse me?" This is how he offered her to get married. Do not do such a thing. You must be a person that is also able to sense and to feel. Again, when I say I am, I also relate straight away to my feelings. Because otherwise, I haven't perceived and sensed the world at all. It's all about feelings. Just put them in the right position, the right location. Don't overdo it and be just about feelings. Everything must be in balance. Allows us to be more inclusive. Contain issues in our lives to have more fluidity, more flow. Elements of water. Have around you in the house all kinds of plants, a source of water, a jacuzzi, a little fall, a little aquarium, a little pond with one fish, anything to have some kind of a source of water around you. Earth helps to contain, to crystallize, to ground. It's been beautifully advertised in the States to great success. Grounding mats. I don't sell and I'm not a salesman. I'm telling you what people use to a great extent. It improves your sleep and your cycle to a great extent. Those people that lack very much grounding, like myself, right? So grounding mat, grounding blanket, it really helps you balance the elements within you. Energies. Go for a run. Do all kinds of things which go into the rhythm of life. Spend time in nature. It supports manifestation and completion of our creative work. It brings tangible results into life. Don't be just about that. Do not live only in the survival mode. At the same time, live it up. And don't live to work. No. Money will come anyhow. You'll go to 8 hours of work anyhow. Work to live, but have it balanced. But you must also have the support of this element in your life. Last but not least, the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm, we now going to is the ether. The ether is the quintessence, right? It is the pure consciousness of being. This consciousness is assessed at the stillness of the void. Most people, there's a Professor Joseph Harvey in California, I think he's already maybe passed away. He's the pioneer after Professor Viktor Frankl. Says if we left humanity for 3 weeks without the social media, movies, Netflix, etc., people will perish. Their silence will be packed because we are scared to be on our own. We are scared to confront ourselves, find a quiet place, except from just when you sleep, to be with yourself quietly. Just enjoy the quietness of nature, the rhythm of nature, the rhythm of meditation around you. Stillness. You can listen to a quiet music with no words that will cultivate this form of calm presence of yours. When you go into that space, you are touching the 0-point field, which means that quantum energy, when you touch the mind of the universe, you connect to God. And it's the great innovation. That's why I'm repeatedly bring it in, because as long as it's different religions, well, we can quarrel about it. When we talk about scientific fact, so we are empowered and support ourselves through nature. So that belongs to all religions. Right? And of course, through this, right, we're able to go beyond our limited selves. All possibilities open there. This is what I want. I'm not sure I see the limited possibility in front of me. Once I sow in that seed, that spark of my question, and I go into the stillness, I connect, I allow myself to open up and surrender. I let go of myself to the divine, to the infinite. No question about it, there's many other options of creative options. And so much energy will flow in when it belongs to your health, your lifestyle, your career, your relationship, whether you have it or not, to fertility, or to your spirituality, which is your personal growth, as well as your ability to contribute to others. Last but not least, I'll give you another example. We're not going to be able to get into the spiritual realm today of the 5 senses, but at least we've done something great till now. We can leave something for next week. Right? Fire. Fire represents the spark of new ideas that come from the higher level of consciousness. It is a creative, dynamic energy that you initiate, you innovate, you transform things that were to a new level. Opens beyond a limited way of thinking in the everyday. It breaks down barriers of rigid thinking. Right? There's an incredible book by, I forget her name for now, but the book I think is called Open Mindset. I do forget her name. And she wrote a book about it, which is an incredible book, but many people suffer from limited mindset. When I have things my way, I don't see beyond the way that I think. I can enter a place and I don't see what I'm supposed to because I'm limited in my assumptions and my thinking, because this is the way things are done till today, right here and now, because of my past, because of my way of thinking, because of my rigidness. Therefore, freeing our consciousness and its creative thinking to expand to new dimensions and relations, that will go a long way. I'll just finish it quickly and then I'll open it to questions and I'll read your chats as well. A represents our mind and our thoughts, and these are constantly moving through our awareness. These expand ourselves to new horizons of learning. It is here that we can brainstorm and we can grasp new possibilities. There will always be other possibilities you didn't think about, because we are limited by definition, and that's okay. I'm just human. So allowing myself this stillness to go into the fifth element of ether, through stillness, through meditation, through open minds, through humility, through letting go, through surrender, endless possibilities that you never fathomed, never thought about, can come into play. Last but not least, water, emotions and intuition. Intuition is of such great importance. If you have a feeling in your heart, in your tummy, in your gut, that something is wrong, listen to this. Listen to this. Yes, it can be your fears, it can be, but many times you should listen to this. You should know whether it's the right date, it's the right career, it's the right food for you, it's the right lifestyle. You know. Nobody else can tell you. Only you know what is best for you if you are living with truthfulness and sincerity. And this is the great world of water that we want to have coherence with before you embark on new plans in your life. I think we covered a great deal of ground tonight, which is wonderful. And this is part of a thought that we will get so far in our session lecture class today. So I would love to hear your questions and any reflection on this. You can come on board. You can voice yourself. Let's allow one question for each. Or you can put it into the chat, or Mike can share with me what others have. And I thank you so much, all of you, for listening in tonight. And you part of making a history, because this lecture, this session would have been completely different if you weren't there. Thank you so much. Mike, please go ahead. Allow questions that you have or people have asked, or allow them to ask themselves if possible through the media that we are sharing here.
Well, I've got kind of a double question. It was about the first piece that you said connected with the fire. When you say we use fire to break things down, now, could you be more specific of how we can use the fire? Because the first thing that came to my mind, I would imagine that the solar plexus could be considered as a fire because it would be our central sun. So that's how we actually, I think, break things down. But I don't know if I understood it right. Should we be able to explain?
So if I heard correctly, I'm trying very hard to listen very intently. If I heard correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. The question is, how can we implement?
There's an echo. Sorry, guys, there's an echo. Really quick. If you guys could just mute yourself after you ask the question, because we're getting some feedback from somebody's computer. Thank you, guys. Okay, sorry, continue.
So if I heard correctly, I think your question is, how do we implement the element of fire more into our life? That is the question? Yes, correct. Very good. So thank you for this. It's an excellent question. So the element, first of all, we have to understand what it is. So the element of fire will be our passion, our joie de vivre, our motivation into this. Now, I have given in the past, and if you are a member in LinkedIn, you can see many articles of mine on that, especially on that as well, on being the best version of yourself. And like this, there are many motivational speakers which are excellent. I'm going to give a different answer, such as Denzel Washington and Will Smith and many others that speak on motivation in order to spark you up with the element of fire. However, and they're all great, they're better than me. Nevertheless, what they speak about is the assumption is, I don't have motivation, give it up to me every day. And every time you have to invent the wheel to start with again, because people are being passive, or people are not really in tune or in line and the resonance of who they are. But if you're very happy with who you are, if you find yourself, if you're very pleased with your direction in life, you don't want to go to sleep, and it's like a drug. This is a positive drug. This is a positive addiction. You're addicted to your own life. I love life. I'm in love with life. I'm in love with what I'm doing because I've found what makes me tick. And this is the best version of motivation, the sparks of fire that you can have. I know, and this is a person must invest lots of time into this. And with age, it changes. Can be that in our 20s, we wanted something. I myself started as an aerospace engineer. And a few years later, I went to astrophysics. Then I went to Kabbalah. I went to many other things. But it's okay. The time that it was great. Once you master that stage, you need other things. We are people of variety. We're people of great horizons. And that's okay. So tune up with yourself and have it, on one hand, have stability, but find what motivates me, what is the best area in my career, in my lifestyle, in my health, in my personal growth, in my contribution, in my love and relationship that I want me to motivate me towards that. If the marriage is stagnating, a relationship is stagnating, invest more into that. Invest more into the partner. Go out, do things together, brainstorm. I have a friend overseas. Him and his wife, every week they find a new topic, whatever it is, and they brainstorm about it. They go and read articles, they share with each other. Over the years, already elderly, they're much older than me. I think they shared hundreds and thousands of different topics to innovate and to put the spark again into the marriage. So whatever it is in which area of life that you do, even if it's you're doing your career, innovate in your career, do something else, or add another level, another flow in your career to motivate you, to read more about, to know more about. It's a never-ending kind of process with yourself. And the biggest benefactor is yourself, because you enjoy that growth. And of course, everyone else around you will really, really see. You see people like Dr. Matt Gaber, who's in his 80s, right? He's a Holocaust survivor. He's one of the world's leading psychotherapists. He was a regular MD. He's carrying on learning at his age. Definitely is. See someone like Dr. Brian Weiss. He's a psychiatrist for over 40 years in New York. He's carrying on writing. He's carrying on learning. He's incredible. I admire such people because they always are on the go. Always grow. Dr. Joe Dispenza, always on the go. Always want to grow. So living with such a person or being close to such a person, listening to their lectures, you can hear the fire in them and adapt something into your life as well. Thank you. Mike, another question that comes, anyone that wants to come online and ask, or Mike, go ahead. Mike, your picture is frozen, I think.
If anyone else has any questions, please go ahead.
Somebody doesn't have.
Or you have something written, Mike. Just 1 second. Mike sent me a question that many people wanted to ask, and I think that's important. And so Mike asked me to address it, and I think now is the right time. So let me just 1 second read in short, if I may, Mike, this question that you put here, and it's as follows. Simplified version of the question that I was asked in several forms. Can I share it, Mike? Yes?
Yes, please. This was a question that several people asked me in different forms, so this is a simplified version of everyone's question.
Excellent. So in several forms, about different books that some people claim are Torah or biblical or of holiness or the Word of God. So I'm just skipping a few things that you wrote to me between us. So there's also a question of free will, but as simple as that. And the question is as follows. Why does God allow people to be fooled by books claiming to be divinely inspired? That's one. B, and why are true books containing words of angels allowed to be suppressed by certain people? Why is the control over or why is there control over who can read certain books or have certain knowledge? Wouldn't everyone being enlightened being a good thing? So this is a very multiple question which is of great importance and depth. So let's address it slowly because, as Mark said, many people have addressed it through him, and he put all of it in a nutshell for me to try and address it humbly. So the truth is, let's start one by one. The first thing is why God allows people to be fooled by books claiming to be divinely inspired. And I've been in many places, obviously not so many, but as many as I've been, and in many, many bookstores. You know, everyone has got his own addiction. My addiction is to bookstores. So, and I've read many books, and my library is packed with them, and I read and I buy constantly. So it's very true that many of these books were written by people that shouldn't have been written at all, that are misguided, misleading, and misleading many others. The worst thing is some of them know that they are misleading, but they just want to make some money. Many of them don't think that they are misleading. They really believe that they are righteous and they're the right hand of God himself. So they're fooling themselves and fooling many, many others. So, and if you just look, and I don't want to get into the religions, if you look at few religions, the major religions around, obviously there's a confrontation, a great confrontation. So one says, my book is holy, yours is not, and the other says, mine is holy and yours is not. So why is this fooling around? And the answer is very, very simple. It's deep, but it's simple. The only thing, look, my height is given by God. The number of my shoes is given by God. My color of eyes is given by God. The time that I was born is given by God. The time that I will disappear from this world is also given by God. So many parameters. My IQ, limited by God. All these are given. The only one parameter, one thing that God does not control, ever, and does not want to control, is what makes you and me godly. That's our free choice. And that free choice has to be completely, absolutely, 100% free choice. Meaning, God has given us a great intellect, more than any kind of creature around the universe. You must use your intellect and your intelligence to know. Why do people get married and a few months later they say, oh my God, how did I fall with this monster? I didn't know, it's so abusive. So we must use our intelligence to monitor and to be cautious about it. There's an incredible book that currently I'm learning and teaching with one of my students. It's called The Path of the Just, or rather, something like that. I think the right translation. One of the great Kabbalists that lived about 350 ago, his name was Moses Chaim Luzzatto. He's buried in Sephirot in Israel. He lived in Europe. He was persecuted most of his life because people didn't know his greatness. And this book walks you through exactly this question: how to be very worried and cautious of pitfalls. So for now, first of all, listen to your intuition. But if you're very naive or you don't know the right direction, you really are a seeker, go and turn to people that do know, that have been through the same labyrinth, through the same path and puzzle of life, that already been through this, and they know, don't go there because there's a pitfall over there, you're going to really, really fall. That's why each one of us, and I have many of them, and I've made sure in my life that I had them, and I have them, many spiritual great masters, older than me, wiser than me, that I have got my own nourishment from them. And when I don't know, and many things I don't know, I ask the counsel because I'm afraid to fall or misguide other people. So if in doubt, don't get into the lion's den and say, I'm so sorry. No, be very cautious, very careful. Don't go there. Ask people that do seem to know, is this the right path for me? After taking counsel of any kind of spiritual great mentor that you know that is very accessible and very acceptable by people, then you can cautiously move forward and see also, how does that piece of knowledge, how does that book speak to you? Maybe it doesn't speak to you. Different, how many podcasts, how many sessions are being offered out there? Millions. Look in Facebook, look in Instagram, look in LinkedIn. Millions. But for every part, there's one cover. Who is that person? Who are the few that you feel that when you listen to them, that you learn with them, They speak your language. They seem to you sincere. You can check what they say. Every letter, every word they say, they set on it. It's serious. They mean what they say, and they don't sway you here and there. They don't try to twist your mind. These are the kind of people and the books that you should be reading. And therefore, that's the first question. Second question is, why are the true books containing words of angels allowed to be suppressed by certain people? Look, all of us were children not long ago. I clearly remember my late mother, that was my teacher of age when I was very little. She was my kindergarten teacher. I used to play in the sandbox. I'm sure I remember. If you put me today in a sandbox, I've got nothing to do there. What am I getting at? Every age has got its own maturity, its own soberness, its own growth level. We cannot start by diving in the deep end of archangels and reading these books, because sometimes your vessel is not ready, and the light that you're going to expose yourself to is so great that you might burn your own soul. You might be damaged by it. And I can attest myself of knowing quite a few people that passed through me and with me in the clinical therapy, whatever it is, or in spiritual counseling, that definitely have fallen with trying to take too much light before the right maturity level. It's not a question of age only. It's a question of reading and going through the works before. You can't be a black belt in judo, in karate, in kung fu before you went through the stages of, white belt, yellow belt, and then everything else. You can't jump to Harvard before you went to elementary school and to high school. Obviously, the same applies to this. So some of these books, right, are really there, or they're being not suppressed by only given to a selective number of people because of the scarcity that you might be exposed to things that might actually hurt you with that knowledge. So some of I give quite a few workshops. Some of them I didn't suppress, or I only do it one by one, or with people that are hand-selected to make sure that they don't burn themselves out in that, because it's very, very high. It's very holy. And sometimes I'll give you, for example, a nice example. We will learn in the future there are 72 holy names of God. One of these names in particular can do a great deal of damage to people. If I abuse it, and if I cannot control my attributes, if I'm not a person of value, if I get really angry at somebody, I can really do them terrible damage. I do not want this knowledge, and you wouldn't want it. It's like a loaded gun that I'm working with, and I'm giving it to the wrong hands. Everybody gets, certified in holding a gun at home, Second Amendment. I don't want that. So I have to make sure that my students, the one that I'm giving to, is so pure, is such a beautiful person that even under duress, he's not going to abuse this knowledge and speak to his wife. You made me really angry. He's going to use this name and kill his wife. To that point. We don't want that. So I don't give this knowledge at all, because I'm very scared of it in the wrong hands. So only when you feel, and there are signs on your hands, the sign on your faces, Kabbalistically, that we know from the Holy Zohar, when the student is ready to grow to the next level. And you also yourself should know when. In other words, and I think Mike can share with you some of his own, sometimes the knowledge given at the wrong time can do a great deal of damage to people. And I can share with you one thing that come to mind. One of my students, he's very bright, genius in computers. Nevertheless, he was exposed to some kind of satanic cult overseas in Europe and lots of black magic. And one of the things that they demanded of him is to fast. And he fasted so badly that he went down to about 80 pounds from a big, strong, elephant kind of man, because they wanted to weaken him, because they wanted to have for him to become dependent on them, which is terrible. And till he came to therapy and he came to spiritual guidance, and I cut his ties with this cult because he was really dying off, and he was already betrothed to one of my girl students. It was too terrible to see, and he's a very bright man, but he fell there. So not for everyone. Not everyone's cup of tea is to go down that avenue if you are not ready yet. Last but not least, because we have to finish, why the control over who can read certain books or have certain knowledge? Same question as before, a bit as above. Wouldn't everybody be enlightened in a good way? And the answer is, again, if I tell my little kids things that I spoke with you today, you see, he's not here. He would think, as he usually says, Daddy, you're very boring. He wouldn't understand the words. Because he's not there, because he really doesn't have the capacity, the intelligence, the intellect, and the need to be exposed to this. I've learned by great, great spiritual Kabbalists of old, of ages, already passed away. I can share with you that the first lecture that I went to many years back, I sat in that lecture. It was in a language that I speak. Maybe 3% I took in because the words, the idioms, the concepts were so foreign to me that I really sat there and I felt, I don't know what this man is speaking about. I shouldn't be here. So the answer is I should be there, but even the language is different. It's especially a hidden, secretive language of all kinds of concepts that each one has to be digested, open, observed, meditated on, till you feel at home with it. Otherwise, you're chewing on raw meat with the bone so hard that it's really going to hurt you. Thank you very much, all of you. It's time. I know that there are more questions. You're more than welcome. Let me write it to the chat. You can evidently also email me or Mike if you've got serious questions about it. So if you want a private session, whatever it is, let me see. Where is my special sign? Yeah, this one. Gil Tivon, right, at gmail.com. If you have any questions about this, please go ahead and do. There's my email, and you can more than welcome to ask me any serious questions through there or through Mike. That will be fine. And we will see each other next week. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for hosting us. And you don't know how much effort Mike puts. We start on a Sunday to make this work today. Lots of work to go into this, lots of thinking, the preparation, lots of dedication. And so we thank you very much for our host, Michael Ray. And we bless him and his loved ones with beautiful, good health and long life. Thank you, Mike. God bless. Bye-bye.